Lisa Martinez wiped the sweat from her forehead as she stepped out of the landing shuttle. The alien world stretched before her like something from a dream. Red sand covered everything as far as she could see. Strange purple mountains rose in the distance, and the air smelled like metal and something sweet she could not name. She had been in space for 18 months now. Every day was the same on the ship. Wake up, check the lab equipment, study alien plants and animals, eat dinner, sleep. The U.S. Horizon was a good ship, but after so many months, even the best ship felt like a prison. Today was different. Today she was standing on solid ground again. Well, not exactly solid. The sand shifted under her boots with each step. But it was not the metal floors of the ship, and that made her smile. Captain Jake Sullivan had picked her for this mission because she knew more about alien life than anyone else on the ship. When they found the crashed ship yesterday, he needed someone who could tell if it was safe. Lisa was that someone. The crash site was huge. The alien ship had carved a deep canyon into the planet when it hit. The ship itself looked nothing like human ships. It was made of some kind of crystal that sparkled in the sunlight. Parts of it were buried deep in the red sand, but Lisa could see enough to know it was big. Very big. Ryan Powell was already setting up his equipment near the crashed ship. He was the communications officer, and his job was to figure out how the alien technology worked. Ryan was young, maybe 25, with short brown hair and glasses that were always sliding down his nose. He pushed them up every few minutes without thinking about it. Kevin Brooks stood on a small hill overlooking the crash site. He was the security chief, and his job was to keep everyone safe. Kevin was older than Ryan, maybe 40, with gray hair, and scars on his hands from his time in the military. He held his weapon ready, but not pointed at anything. His eyes moved constantly, watching for danger. Lisa walked toward the crashed ship, her scanner beeping softly as it measured the air and ground around her. Everything seemed normal. The air was safe to breathe, though it was thinner than Earth. Air. The gravity was lighter too, which made walking feel strange, like she might float away if she jumped too hard. The alien ship was even more amazing up close. The crystal walls were smooth and perfect, like someone had grown them instead of building them. Strange symbols covered some parts of the ship, glowing faintly with blue light. Lisa took pictures of everything and made notes in her journal. Any sign of life? Kevin called from his position on the hill. Lisa checked her scanner again. Nothing moving inside the ship. But the scanner is having trouble reading through this crystal material. There could be something in there we cannot see. Ryan looked up from his equipment. I am getting some kind of signal from inside the ship. Very weak, but it is there. Like a heartbeat, but slower. Lisa felt a small chill run down her back. A heartbeat meant something alive, but her scanner showed nothing. Either the scanner was wrong, or whatever was inside the ship was very good. At hiding dot, she walked around the ship, taking more pictures and measurements. The crash had happened recently, maybe a few days ago. The sand around the ship was still disturbed, and there were no signs of weathering on the crystal walls. The sun was starting to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Lisa had never seen such a beautiful sunset. 3 small moons were already visible in the darkening sky, hanging like silver coins against the purple clouds. We should set up camp, Kevin said, climbing down from his hill. It will be dark soon, and we do not know what comes out at night on this planet. They found a flat area near the ship, but not too close. Kevin said it was better to have some distance in case something went wrong. Lisa agreed. She had read too many reports about alien technology that turned dangerous without warning. Ryan set up the communication equipment first. He tried to contact the ship, but something was interfering with the signal. I can send a message, "But it is very weak," he said. "Captain Sullivan will know we are okay, but we cannot talk to him directly." Kevin set up the defense perimeter. Next, small sensors that would warn them if anything approached the camp. Then he set up the portable shelter, a simple dome that would protect them from wind and any rain that might fall during the night. Lisa set up her own equipment last, a small lab where she could study anything interesting she found. But first, she had something more important to do. She pulled her portable heating unit from her pack and set it on a flat rock. Then she took out her small ceramic mug and a packet of chai tea mix. Her grandmother had taught her how to make perfect chai when Lisa was just 10 years old. The secret was in the spices: cardamom, cinnamon, ginger, and a little bit of black pepper. The heating unit warmed the water quickly. Lisa added the tea mix and stirred it slowly, watching the brown liquid swirl in the mug. The smell of the spices filled the air around her, mixing with the strange metallic smell of the alien world. Ryan and Kevin were still working, checking their equipment and making sure everything was secure for the night. Lisa found a comfortable rock and sat down, holding the warm mug in both hands. This was her favorite time of day. Back on Earth, she would sit on her grandmother's porch with a cup of chai and watch the sun set behind the old oak trees. Here, on this alien world millions of miles from home, the ritual was the same. The chai tasted the same. For a few minutes, she could pretend she was home. She took a slow sip of the tea, feeling the warmth spread through her chest. The spices danced on her tongue, and she closed her eyes, remembering her grandmother's voice. "Chai is not just tea, Lisa. It is peace. In a cup, no matter where you go, no matter how far from home, chai will bring you back to yourself." Lisa opened her eyes and looked at the alien landscape around her. The purple mountains glowed in the fading sunlight. The 3 moons hung in the sky like guardian spirits. The crashed crystal ship sparkled like a fallen star. She took another sip of chai and smiled. Her grandmother was right. Even here, at the edge of known space, surrounded by mystery and danger, she felt at peace. She had no idea that in just a few minutes, that peace would be shattered forever. Lisa felt the ground move under her feet. At first, it was just a tiny shake, like a truck passing by on a distant road. She thought maybe it was just the wind or the settling of the crashed ship. But the shaking got stronger. Her chai tea rippled in the ceramic mug. Small waves moved across the surface of the brown liquid. Lisa frowned and looked around. Ryan was still working on his equipment, but his tools were starting to rattle on the metal table. "Do you feel that?" Lisa called to him. Ryan looked up from his work and pushed his glasses up his nose. "Feel what?" The ground shook again, harder this time. Ryan's equipment jumped on the table, and one of his smaller tools fell to the sand. Now he felt it too. "Earthquake?" Ryan asked, but he did not sound sure. Kevin came running from the shelter. His weapon was in his hands, and his eyes were scanning the horizon. "That is not an earthquake," he said. "Earthquakes do not happen like this." The shaking was getting worse. Lisa could hear rocks falling from the canyon walls around the crashed ship. The crystal walls of the alien ship started to glow brighter. The blue light that had been dim before was now pulsing like a heartbeat. "My equipment is going crazy," Ryan said. He was reading numbers from a small screen, and his face was getting pale. "Energy readings are off the charts. Something is waking up." Lisa set her mug down carefully on the rock. She did not want to spill her chai, but she also needed both hands free. Her scanner was beeping wildly, showing readings she had never seen before. "What kind of energy?" she asked. "Biological," Ryan said. "Like a living thing, but huge. Really huge." Kevin was already moving toward them. "Pack up the equipment. We need to get back to the shuttle." But before anyone could move, the ground under the crashed ship exploded upward. Sand and rocks flew everywhere. Lisa threw her hands up to protect her face from the flying debris. When she looked again, she could not believe what she saw. Something was coming out of the ground. It was big and wet and moving like a giant worm. But it was not a worm. It was something much worse. The creature pushed itself up through the sand, growing taller and taller. Lisa could see that it had no solid shape. Its body was like clear jelly, but she could see things moving inside it. Dark shapes that might have been bones or organs or something else entirely. What is that thing? Ryan whispered. Lisa was a scientist. She had studied alien life for years. She had seen creatures that were strange and beautiful and terrifying. But she had never seen anything like this. The creature was at least 30 feet tall now, and it was still growing. Its body was transparent, like looking through dirty water. She could see the ground through its lower parts. But there were dark spots throughout its body, and they were moving. Then she saw the teeth. Rows and rows of sharp teeth lined what must have been its mouth. They were arranged in circles, like the mouth of a lamprey, but much larger. Each tooth was as long as Lisa's arm, and they were all moving, grinding against each other. The creature had eyes too, dozens of them, scattered across its body like black stars. They were all different sizes, but they were all looking at the humans. Lisa felt a chill when she realized the creature was studying them. Open fire! Kevin shouted. He raised his weapon and pulled the trigger. Bright blue energy bolts shot from the gun and hit the creature. But the bolts passed right through its transparent body like it was made of water. The creature did not even seem to notice. The shots are not working, Kevin yelled. It is like shooting at air. Ryan was frantically working on his communication equipment. I am trying to contact the ship, but something is blocking the signal. The creature is jamming our communications somehow. The creature made a sound then. It was not a roar or a scream. It was something much worse. It sounded like breaking glass mixed with the cry of a dying animal. The sound made Lisa's teeth hurt and her vision blur. We need to run, she said, but her voice was barely a whisper. The creature started to move toward them. It did not walk or crawl. It flowed across the ground like a liquid, but it was fast, much faster than anything that size should be able to move. Lisa grabbed her scanner and started backing away from the creature. The readings were impossible. The creature was giving off energy like a nuclear reactor, but it was biological energy. It was alive, but it was also something else. Look at its body, she called to the others. There are patterns in the transparent parts. This thing was made, not born. Kevin was still firing his weapon, but the shots were useless. Made by who? Whoever built that ship, Lisa said. This creature is connected to it somehow. Look at the way the ship is glowing brighter as the creature moves. She was right. The crystal ship was pulsing with blue light in rhythm with the creature's movements. They were connected, like a remote control and a toy. The creature was getting closer. Lisa could smell it now, a horrible smell like rotting meat mixed with ozone. Its breath was hot and made the air shimmer like heat waves. The shuttle, Kevin said. We need to get to the shuttle. But the creature was between them and their escape route. It had positioned itself perfectly to cut them off. Lisa realized this thing was not just big and dangerous. It was smart. Ryan finally got his emergency beacon working. Mayday signal sent, he said. But it will take at least 20 minutes for the ship to get here. 20 minutes. Lisa looked at the creature, now only 50 feet away and moving fast. They did not have 20 minutes. They probably did not have 20 seconds. The creature reared up on its back end, preparing to crash down on them with its full weight. Lisa could see acid dripping from its mouth, hissing where it hit the sand. She looked at her chai tea, still sitting on the rock where she had left it. Such a simple thing. Such a peaceful moment. And now this, the creature was almost on top of them. Lisa could see her reflection in its black eyes. In a few seconds, it would all be over. But Lisa Martinez was not ready to die. Not today. Not like this. She reached for her field knife. Lisa pulled the field knife from her belt. It was a simple tool, nothing special. Every crew member carried one for basic tasks like cutting rope or opening containers. The blade was 6 inches long and made of titanium. It was sharp and balanced, but it looked tiny compared to the massive creature bearing down on them. Kevin was still firing his weapon, but the energy bolts kept passing through the creature like it was made of water. Ryan had given up on his equipment and was backing away, his face white with terror. The creature was now only 30 feet away. Lisa could see inside its transparent body more clearly. There were dark shapes moving around, but one shape was different from the others. Near the center of the creature's mass was a round object about the size of a basketball. It was darker than the rest and pulsed with the same blue light as the crashed ship. Lisa's mind raced. She had studied biology for years. Every living thing had a weakness, even the strangest alien creatures. This thing was huge and seemed unstoppable, but it had to have a weakness too. The pulsing dark sphere in the creature's center caught her attention again. It was connected to thin lines that spread throughout the creature's body like veins or nerves. The lines glowed with the same blue light, and they all led back to that central sphere. "It's the control center," Lisa whispered to herself. Her grandfather had been a Marine. He had fought in 3 wars before he retired and taught Lisa how to fish and make wooden toys. But he had also taught her something important about fighting. "Every enemy has a weak spot, Lisa," he used to say. "The biggest, scariest opponent always has one place where a single hit can bring them down. The trick is finding it and having the courage to take the shot." The creature was 20 feet away now. Its breath was so hot that the air around Lisa shimmered like a mirage. The smell of rotting meat and electricity made her stomach turn. The ground shook with each movement of the massive creature. Lisa looked at the knife in her hand. It was such a small thing compared to the monster in front of her. But her grandfather's words echoed in her mind. Every enemy has a weak spot. Dark sphere in the creature's center was still pulsing. Lisa watched it carefully, timing the pulses. They matched the creature's movements exactly. When the sphere pulsed bright, the creature moved forward. When it dimmed, the creature slowed down. "That's it," she said. "That's the brain." The creature reared up on its back section, preparing to crash down on them. Lisa could see the rows of teeth in its mouth, each one dripping with acid. The black eyes all focused on her, and she felt like she was looking into the depths of space. Kevin grabbed her arm. "Lisa, move." But Lisa did not move. She was calculating distances and angles. The creature was 15 feet away and 12 feet tall when it reared up. The dark sphere was visible near the top of its raised body. If she could hit it with the knife, she might be able to damage the creature's nervous system. But it was an impossible shot. The creature was moving. The sphere was small, and she only had one chance. If she missed, the creature would crush all 3 of them. But humans were good at impossible shots. Lisa had read the reports from other exploration missions. Time and again, human crews had survived situations that should have killed them. They survived because humans could do things that other species could not do. They could make split-second decisions that defied logic and probability. Lisa's grandfather had called it the human moment. That instant when fear and desperation combined with human stubbornness to create something amazing. The creature began to fall toward them, its massive body blocking out the alien sky. Lisa could see every detail of its transparent flesh, every moving shape inside its body, every gleaming tooth in its horrible mouth. She stepped to the side and threw the knife with every ounce of strength in her body. The knife flew straight and true. Lisa had used it hundreds of times to take samples from alien plants. She knew exactly how it moved through the air, how much force to use, how to compensate for gravity and wind. The blade cut through the creature's transparent skin, like it was cutting through water. There was no resistance at all until it reached the central sphere dot, and the knife hit. Something solid dot the dark sphere, cracked like an egg. Blue light poured out of the crack, spreading through the creature's body like lightning. The creature's scream was even louder this time, a sound that made the ground shake, and the air itself seemed to vibrate. The creature stopped falling and started convulsing. Its massive body writhed and twisted as the blue light spread to every part of its transparent flesh. The thin lines that connected to the central sphere began to fade and disappear. Lisa watched in amazement as the creature's body began to dissolve. Starting from the edges and working inward, the transparent flesh turned to liquid and poured onto the ground. The creature's screams grew weaker and higher pitched, like air escaping from a balloon dot in less than 30 seconds. The massive creature was gone. All that remained was a puddle of clear liquid soaking into the red sand, and Lisa's knife lying where the central sphere had been. Kevin and Ryan stood frozen, their mouths open in shock. The silence after the creature's screams was almost as frightening as the screams themselves. Lisa walked over and picked up her knife. It was covered in blue slime, but it was undamaged. She wiped it clean on her pants and put it back in her belt. "How did you know where to hit it?" Ryan asked. His voice was shaky, and he was still pale. Lisa looked at the puddle that had been a monster just moments before. Every living thing has a central nervous system. Even engineered creatures need something to coordinate their movements. That sphere was its brain and its power source all in one. Kevin was checking his equipment, making sure it still worked after the creature's death. "Engineered? You think someone made that thing?" "I'm sure of it," Lisa said. "That creature was designed to be a weapon or a guard. Its body was built to be nearly indestructible, and its nervous system was centralized to make it easier to control remotely." She pointed to the crashed ship, which was now dark and quiet. The ship was controlling it. When we got too close, the ship activated its guardian. Ryan's communication equipment suddenly crackled to life. "Landing party, this is Captain Sullivan. We detected massive energy readings from your position. What's your status?" Kevin picked up the communicator. "All clear, Captain. We encountered some local wildlife, but Dr. Martinez handled the situation." Lisa smiled and walked back to her rock where her chai tea was still waiting. The mug was still warm, and the tea still smelled like home. She sat down and took a sip. Perfect. Lisa sat on her rock and finished her chai tea while Kevin and Ryan packed up their equipment. The tea had grown cold during the fight with the creature, but it still tasted good. The familiar spices reminded her that she was still alive, still human, still the same person who had been enjoying a peaceful moment. Just minutes before, Ryan kept looking at the wet spot where the creature had dissolved. "I still can't believe that thing is gone," he said. "It was the size of a building, and you killed it with a knife." "I got lucky," Lisa said, but she knew it was more than luck. She had made a choice in a moment when most people would have frozen with fear. That was what made humans different from other species they had met in space. Kevin finished checking his equipment and walked over to the crashed alien ship. The crystal walls were no longer glowing. Without the creature to guard it, the ship seemed smaller and less threatening. "We should explore inside," he said. "If that thing was guarding something, it might be important." Lisa stood up and put her empty mug back in her pack. She picked up her scanner and walked toward the ship. The readings were much calmer now. No more wild energy spikes or biological signatures. The entrance to the ship was a crack in the crystal wall barely wide enough for a person to squeeze through. Inside, the walls glowed with a soft white light. The air smelled clean and metallic, like the inside of a computer dot. The ship was bigger inside than it looked from outside. Long corridors stretched in several directions, all lined with the same smooth crystal walls. Strange symbols covered some of the walls, glowing faintly in different colors. "This place is like a library," Ryan said, reading his scanner. "The walls are storing massive amounts of information." They found the main chamber, at the center of the ship. It was a large room with a raised platform in the middle. On the platform was a device that looked like a tree made of crystal, with branches reaching toward the ceiling. Lisa approached the device carefully. Her scanner showed it was safe, but she had learned to be cautious around alien technology. The crystal tree was warm to the touch and hummed softly with internal energy. When she placed her hand on the main trunk, the device activated. Images appeared in the air around them, like holograms, but clearer and more real. The images showed the history of the ship and its creators. The aliens who built the ship were called the architects. They were tall and thin, with 4 arms and skin that changed color like a chameleon. They had traveled the galaxy for thousands of years, building and creating things of great beauty and power. But the architects had a problem. Other species kept attacking them and stealing their technology. They were peaceful by nature and did not like to fight. So they created guardians, like the creature Lisa had killed. These guardians were designed to protect architect ships and colonies from any threat. The creature was programmed with information about dozens of different species, Lisa said, reading the holographic data. It knew how to fight against almost every known form of life in the galaxy. Ryan studied the images. But humans are not in the database. The architects never met humans before. That's why the creature was confused, Kevin said. It did not know how to fight against something it had never seen before. Lisa continued reading the alien data. The information was fascinating and terrible at the same time. The architects had been peaceful, but their guardians had destroyed entire civilizations. Any species that threatened an architect's site was eliminated completely. "Look at this," she said, pointing to one of the holographic displays. The guardians were programmed to study their enemies and adapt, but they needed time to learn. If they could destroy a threat quickly, they would. If not, they would study it and develop new tactics. "But you didn't give it time to study humans," Ryan said. Lisa nodded. "The creature expected me to run or hide or try to fight it with weapons. It did not expect me to analyze its weaknesses and attack its control center. Most species would have needed weeks or months to figure out what I saw in a few seconds." The holographic display showed more information about human capabilities. The ship's computers had been recording everything that happened outside. They had analyzed Lisa's actions and compared them to the behavior of other species. The analysis was clear. Humans were uniquely dangerous because they could adapt instantly to new situations. Other species might be stronger or faster or smarter. But humans could make impossible decisions in impossible situations and somehow make them work. "We're not the biggest or the strongest," Lisa said, reading the alien analysis, "but we're the most unpredictable. That makes us either the best allies or the worst enemies anyone could have." Captain Sullivan's voice came through their communicators. "Landing party, we're sending down a shuttle to pick you up." "Mission complete?" Kevin responded. "Mission complete, Captain. We have a lot to report." As they prepared to leave the alien ship, Lisa took one last look at the crystal tree device. The information stored here would help humanity understand their place in the galaxy. They were not alone, and they were not the most advanced species. But they had something special. They had the ability to sip tea in the face of danger, and then do the impossible. Lisa walked back outside and looked at the spot where she had been sitting with her chai. The rock was still there, warm from the alien sun. The 3 moons were rising in the purple sky, and the mountains glowed with their strange light. She thought about her grandmother, who had taught her to make perfect chai. Her grandmother had lived through 2 wars and the early days of space exploration. She had seen humanity take its first steps among the stars. Chai is peace in a cup, her grandmother had always said. No matter where you go, it will remind you who you are. Lisa smiled and shouldered her pack. She knew who she was. She was human. She was the woman who had been sipping chai when a monster appeared, and who had killed that monster with a simple knife in a moment of perfect clarity. The shuttle landed nearby, and Captain Sullivan himself stepped out. He looked at the dissolved remains of the creature, then at Lisa, then at the now quiet alien ship. "Dr. Martinez," he said, "I think we need to have a long talk about what happened here." Lisa nodded. "Yes, sir. But first, would you like some chai? I think we all need a moment to process what we've learned about humanity today." The captain smiled. "I think that sounds perfect." As they flew back to the ship, Lisa looked down at the alien world one last time. Word of what happened here would spread throughout human space and beyond. The story would grow and change with each telling, but the core truth would remain. Humans were the species that could find peace in a cup of tea and death in a simple knife. They were the species that made the impossible possible, one sip at a time.